team, welcome to Behind the Scenes of Talon Episode 1, Episode 6. This is the last one, I think. If this was interesting and you guys want to know more about the behind the scenes of apocalypse survival training, we could do 50 episodes if you wanted to, or 4, whatever. It's cool. I just want to talk about the titles. So when I talk we, the royal we, when I'm talking about apocalypse survival training or Imagine Active, then really, fundamentally, we're talking about me. So I do the writing, the directing, the casting, the editing, and then I had to cast myself, even though I'm not very good, but I'm easy and I'm cheap. And then anything that you hear has been produced by Raz. And with the exception of the lockdown music, all of the music on the app, apart from bits that were done by Dan, were done by Raz. The sound effects are done by Adam Hay, who is our amazing, amazing sound designer. We're so lucky to have him. But when Raz does the mix, and that's hard, because when you're mixing sound effects and music and dialogue, and you have to make sure that all the important things get heard all the time, and you realise that people are using this, they're probably, for instance, in the running episodes, they're out running and there's cars going past, and you've got to make sure that the frequencies don't all interfere with each other. It's super, super complicated to mix. Lockdown, piece of piss, really easy. It's no sound effects. It's just music and dialogue. But the quality of what you hear, that is always down to Raz. Visually, anything that you see, so our titles, the visuals of the app, all our logos, etc., all the little things on the front of videos, these are all done by John Michael Allison, who's our amazing visual effects designer. So that's kind of like the we, that's sort of the fundamental team that makes shit happen. And then, of course, we have our cast as well. So John and Raz really, really, really enjoy doing beautiful videos. And John has really taken to the 3D animation now. So I said, John, I need some titles. And I always have to say to John, it's always like, can it be really cool but not too expensive? Because we need to sell more versions of the app. And so John, bless him, always has this payoff of like not spending ridiculous amounts of time on something, but also giving us something that's really gorgeous. And we're quite lucky that he loves to give us beautiful things. Thank you, John. So he came back with these incredibly sexy titles. I was so excited by them. And then Raz doesn't always get to do the sound design because Adam does most of that. And Raz has millions of libraries of incredible sound effects. And he had the best time. But actually the challenge of creating getting these sound effects to perfectly represent what's happening visually, I thought it's 12 seconds, right? It'll take him a couple of hours. It wasn't a couple of hours. It was probably a day, and then he left it and then he came back to it. But actually to find all the different sound effects and to find all the different instruments and to layer them in and then to time them and then to listen to it back, that is several hours worth to get 12 seconds.
Hi, I'm Raz and I work on all the sound and music for Adele and Imagine Active and for Apocalypse Survival Training and of course Talon Lockdown. So I'm going to go through a little bit about what we've been doing for the opening sequence for Talon Lockdown. So what I get is I get a video file from John with all the openings that he has sort of concocted in After Effects and all the magic that he does. And then I have to try and translate the visuals into an audible sequence. So we get all the details and how we connect the dots between the visual and the audible elements that we get thrown at us. So I'm going to show a couple of things and how the whole thing comes together. So within all of this video, there's actually a lot of audio going on. We have about 17 tracks of audio just going on for this little sequence. The first thing I always focus on is the main part of this thing, which is the lockdown. So it was important to get the door to sound right. So obviously it's a massive door, it's a big compound, so we want to get the feel of big grinding togs and things and the clonks and that whole metal feel. There's a bit of a sci-fi feel to it, there's the metal heaviness because these doors are quite heavy, and there's the grinding sensation. My favorite part of this is actually part of the opening sequence. This sequence of the Talon logos, which are amazing, by the way. John did a fantastic job on this. I love the slow motion speed up, and I want to create the sense of that metal contorting and grinding. When you get metal in a temperature changing environment. So you get that feels like you're sort of bending the metal, and I love that. So that created one of the main parts of the opening part, the Talon logo sort of landing, if you like. To even emphasize, actually, and this John came back to me with some great feedback It's very easy to lose sight of small details because you can keep adding things on and on and on, but actually sometimes less is more. But it was John's vision with how this video was, and he wanted the door to seem heavier. So I had to go in and just try and get some more sort of oomph into it. And I think this is what we came with. Yeah, so that was some extra reverb, some low rumble and EQ, made the whole thing feel a lot more heavier. One more thing that I thought was really challenging was actually getting some detail into this last part of the sequence, which is the flickering sort of neon lights. I actually ended up playing in a sort of sound effect with my MIDI keyboard here to create the flickering of that light. Yeah, they're slightly faint, but that's all you need. You don't want to hear everything. You want to notice it. And I think I'll just see if I can try and play this, and I'll solo individual parts as fast as I can. And that's how we did the Talon Lockdown Episode 1 opening title.
So they're my boys. And they get all the other magic done on Apocalypse Survival Training and Talon Lockdown. I should probably get to work on episode 2.